So about 9 months ago, I had a couple of guys come on the show to talk about money generally, and I'm very pleased to bring them back today. I've got Adam Shardlow. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Good to see you again. And James Michael Mason.
Hello, Mark. How you doing?
I don't remember a middle name from last time. Have you added that in?
No, I don't know why that's come up. No idea. But yeah.
James Mason.
Yeah. I don't know why that's
comes. Yeah. How are you guys?
We're good.
Yeah, really good. Thanks, Mark. How are you?
Yes, thank you.
It's good to see smiling faces in the middle of all this nonsense.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's very well said, to tell you the truth. So, well, we're feeling it at this end too. This nonsense is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I was just speaking to a woman, an Irish woman, who was telling me about how much the British have had enough of Boris. That was quite interesting, that it's got this far. It's got over to the west of Ireland. Everybody's really had enough of him, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
It's
like some, I think now.
Yeah, it's just madness. You can't even believe it's real, really. So, yeah, fun and games.
Well, you two are sat in front of pictures of vaults. Is that telling?
A bit of a giveaway,
yes.
Isn't it?
Well, gold and silver. I mean, a lot. In the whole truther world, there's a lot of people who've been talking about gold and silver. I've talked about gold and silver. I call it God's money because that's what it is. It's real money. And you guys have made this a speciality. What do you want to teach us today? Because you've got quite an interesting. Is this legal? I like the headline. That's intriguing for me.
Yeah, well, we always talk about what we do for ourselves. So not just, hey, this is a good idea, but we say, look what we do for ourselves. This is why we do it. And if you want to do the same, then great. You can also benefit. And we use something that's, we think, quite unique. It's called the gold-silver ratio, and use it in quite an interesting way. And a big claim coming up, but you can actually generate free metals just from utilizing this ratio. And we're going to show you how today. And we just can't believe that this is legal, that you can make free metals from seemingly nowhere. So that's the reason for the title. I guess just before we start, if we just do a little disclaimer, just to say, none of this is financial advice. We want to educate people and inform you and give you the tools in your hand so that you don't need us. We don't want you to have to keep coming back to us. We want to empower you so that you go, don't need you guys anymore. See you later. I get it. And you can make your own decisions.
Well, before you go into that, can you give, it's been a while since you've been on the show. Just give us just a quick background of how you got to the point that you're at currently.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Of course, Mark. Well, we've been in the precious metals arena for 6-7 years now, Adam, haven't we? I've been in a bit longer. I started out, but well before that, we were helping people years before that still, with the finances in general, teaching them what you've just spoke about earlier, Mark, which was spot on, by the way, about the financial system. So we learned about the financial system. I've been learning for many, many years, and we started sharing that information with normal people to try and help them. Myself, initially, I did 22 years in the army, and I initially started helping people in the army and teaching them about money and how it works. And I was paying off their debts for them and things like that. But then I realized that doesn't work. You've got to educate them because they're back in debt the following week because they don't understand how it works. So I just found a real passion for helping people be in a better place financially. And Adam's, I don't know how to put it, he's a family member, is my cousin's husband. Is it, or what? Yeah, we get mixed up, Adam, don't we? But we are related. So we met one day, we hit it off, and we just found a passion for helping people. And we've been on this journey, and eventually we came across precious metals. That's become part of the journey. It was only a small part initially, but now it's a very big part. It's the biggest part now, because it's one of the easiest ways in which we can help people to take back control of their own finances by taking their currency out of the system, out of the banking system, and by saving in precious metals instead. And it really is that simple.
When you go into money, you always end up back with gold. It always boils down to gold and silver. I mean, I can't remember who taught me this, but I think it might have been Michael Tellinger, and he said he's the guy who took the banks to court about
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago with mortgages being completely fraudulent, which they are. And I think it was him that taught me. It might be somebody else, but it was that in every religious text, ancient religious text, there are three constants: a slavery, a winged serpent of some kind, and gold. They're the three things. And of course, Michael Tellinger talks about the Anunnaki in South Africa, and the 2 or 3 cities that are there. The footprints are bigger than London.
Yes,
they're all covered with undergrowth. But he was his lectures teach about the Anunnaki coming down, genetically modifying the human race to become gold miners because they wanted gold.
Very interesting.
So, gold. It's always gold. It all boils down to gold. And
Michael's One Small Town, isn't he? The same guy.
Yeah. He's a great human being doing a lot of service for humanity. And of course, we're in the middle of this supposed Great Reset, but the Great Awakening, great versus the Great Reset. If it goes the way we want it to go, we're going to be talking about money that's backed by precious metals, and precious metals are currently massively undervalued, especially silver, right?
Yes, definitely. That's what we believe, obviously.
Yeah, we really do.
We're not the be all and end all, but we believe that. Yeah,
you've got to be in it to win it as well. And before.
What's that, Adam? You went quiet then.
Yeah, went quiet, Adam. You were talking.
Sorry, there was just a big delay. Sorry. There was just a big delay, and then nothing happened. I think when you hear about this stuff in the newspapers, it's already happened. It's too late. When you hear that silver's gone up or gold's gone up, whatever. Yeah. So we want to educate people about the signs of where you can get in before the moves have happened, and equip you so you can see it for yourselves. And that's kind of what this is all about, really.
And the main thing for us, Mark, is people always think it's the growth, but for us personally, it's not the growth of metals. It's nothing to do with that for us. Number one priority is taking back control of your finances by putting our savings, our hard-earned savings, on our balance sheet. And we do that by saving in precious metals that are under our control, in our name, and it's not in the bank's control, That's it. And it really is that simple. That's number one priority.
Yeah. Well, that's
what it's all about, really.
You've got something to share with us, right, Adam?
Perfect. Yes. Yeah. So we're going to go through quite a few slides. Hopefully, it'll be interesting for you. So, look, we think the question we're asking is, how is this legal? And maybe you've got to the point where you say, I've decided to purchase some precious metals. But then you might get these questions. Things like, well, which metal should I buy in the first place? What do I buy? Maybe you've asked, we definitely get asked this by a lot of people, is which metals are the best price right now? Is gold a good price right now? Yeah, so it's another question. What about maybe you get a bit further on into the journey and say, well, how do I maximize my investment in precious metals? Yes, I've made the move. I've bought metals, but now what? Because it's a long-term game. What about how do I make money when the market goes down? Who's ever thought about that as a question? How can I make free metals? Something we're gonna show you. And what about this one? How can I increase the amount of metals I've got without spending another penny? Is that even possible? Or maybe you've asked a combination of these that says, how can I buy the best price metals, make money when the market goes down, get free metals, turbocharge my investment without it costing me another penny, or while I'm sleeping and without having to watch a screen or do anything at all? Put your hand up if you've asked that question. Quite a big question. But yeah, we're going to answer these questions for you now and show you what is actually possible. So first of all, we're going to talk about the gold-silver ratio, because it all kind of works. The gold-silver ratio dictates all of this stuff, and James is just going to go through kind of what it is and how it's made up.
Okay. Yeah, very simple. Obviously, Adam and myself spend a lot of time simplifying things because there's people out there that try and make things complicated, and this really isn't complicated. So we do try and keep things simple, because if people don't understand this, then they don't take action. They just sit on the fence forever. So we do try hard at this, keeping it simple. And all the gold silver ratio is the amount of gold all right, that you can get for, sorry, the amount of silver that you can get for 1 gram of gold.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got your gold price per gram. Let's just say in this example, £43.26. You've got your silver price per gram at 53 pence. You just divide your silver into the gold, the price of silver into your gold, and it gets you just over 81 grams of silver. So basically, for 1 gram of silver, you've got over 81 grams of silver. For 1 gram of gold, 81 grams of silver.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy to get mixed up sometimes. So that's what you get. So basically, simply put again, is when the ratio goes up, gold is more expensive and silver is cheap. When the ratio goes up, when the ratio goes down, gold is cheap and silver is expensive. So I'll just say that again. When the ratio goes up, silver is better value for money. That's a different way of explaining it. It's a better buy at that point when the ratio is going up.
Well, I mean, on a ratio like that, silver looks like a phenomenal bargain.
Oh yeah, well at the minute it's a bargain right now, Mark. It's about 80 now, isn't it, Adam? I think 80 or thereabouts. But we'll show you in a more that we'll show you what we work off, where the area in which we work on, where the ratios have been hit the most often over a certain period of time, you know. So that's what we work off. But it's just the best way of working out because people always ask us, where do we start? Do we buy gold or silver? So we work off the ratios, and we're going to show you that in a more anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, when the ratios goes down, it means gold is cheap and then silver is expensive. So gold would be a better buy. But at the minute, silver's a better buy. So I think I've covered everything there, Adam, haven't I?
Yeah, so once you get this number, you get this ratio, let's say it's 81. What does that mean to you? When you hear people say, I was driving at 100 miles an hour, you know that that's fast. You've got some frame of reference. Or someone says 10 miles an hour, you know that it's slow. But with the gold-silver ratio, if you've just heard of it, then 81, is that good? Is it bad? Is it good for silver? Is it good for gold? It doesn't mean anything. So let's give you some environment around this ratio so you can put some real ideas to that number. So this is just a graph of the gold-silver ratio over time. And you can see it just kind of bobs along and does its thing. We use this ratio to work out what to buy. And this is the first application of it. So the average gold-silver ratio is around 60. So let's put that line on there. We also look at a line of 80 and a line of 40 as well. Here's how we use it. If we were coming to buy metals today and the ratio was at 60, then we would buy 50% gold, 50% silver, because that's the average. That's the kind of equilibrium line in the middle. It's not convincingly pointing to gold and it's not convincingly pointing to silver. It's just in the middle. If the ratio was 80 or above, then we would buy 100% silver, because as James said, when the ratios goes up, silver is relatively cheap compared to expensive gold. And if it was at 40 or below, then we would buy 100% gold. And just by using these parameters, you can make sure that you get good value for your metals. You know, people often ask us, is gold good right now? And the question we end up asking back is, compared to what? Compared to 30 years ago or compared to the next 30 years? And it's a very difficult question to answer. But with this, we can say how good value gold and silver are against each other.
Yeah.
It's a really good start point for most people, because we get that all the time. I mean, people want to be told what to do, a lot of people. Obviously, we don't advise. We don't believe in advice. We just want to educate and empower people to think for themselves, encourage them to think for themselves. So this works really well. It shows them, but we just show them what we do and what we work off, and they can do the same, Mark, you know?
Yeah.
So, quite simply put, we're just going to show you an example now that if you bought £10,000 worth of gold and silver back in the year 2000, what it would be worth today.
Yeah.
So if you bought gold back in the year 2000, today it'd be worth over £78,000. So that's like nearly 8x, isn't it? So if you bought £10,000 worth of silver back in the year 2000, it'd be worth over £51,000. So most people would be very happy with that. Most people would be very happy. I mean, I know I would be. But how would you like to take it to the next level?
Yes, please.
Yeah. How could you get more from this? How could you grow even more? I mean, what we're going to take you into now, or explain now, hopefully, the best way we can. We've known this for many years, but we didn't take action early enough. And we wish we did, Adam, didn't we?
True.
Don't we?
Yeah.
But this is, we're going to try not get too excited about this because it is exciting. I mean, we don't get excited easily, but this makes a massive, massive difference. And you'll see that at the very end. And it is such a big thing. So in the future months, we're going to be shouting from the rooftops about this because we've got this working now for us and for other customers now. So we can help people massively now. So yeah, it's brilliant. But anyway, I'll stop waffling. Go on, Adam.
So we've looked at what the gold silver ratio is, and you've got some idea. And we always encourage you, do your own research and look back at this video. And you know, we had to see this many times to really sink it in and to make full sense of it. So we've looked at what it is. We've looked at the first application, which is what to buy, how to use it to work out what to buy. Now, the second application is how to increase your physical metal holding. So to increase the metals that you've got. And we do that very, very simply by just switching metals, either from gold to silver, silver to gold. And you might say, well, what difference does that make? How is that going to increase what I've got? Well, we actually switch things quite a lot in life, but we call it different things. Let me give you an example. Let's say you've got cash and property. We call it buying a property, but what we're doing is we're switching cash to property. That's what we're doing. So let's say we had some cash and we decided to buy a property and we switched that cash into property. Fine. That property then went up in value, hopefully. And then we switch our property back into cash, or we sell our property. And let's say we had more cash in the end than we started with. That's exactly the same as we're doing here. We're starting with a metal. We're switching it to another metal. There's a price change somewhere. And then we're switching back and we're left with more than we started with. And that's simply it. So let's say we start with gold. We switch it to silver. There's a price change. And we're back to gold. So as long as you're starting with the same metal ending with the same metal you started with, you can see a difference. And we'll go through an example in a second of what that means and what it means to you in your pocket.
So you're using the relative values of the metals to make a profit.
Exactly. That's it.
Relative values of the metals. Yeah.
The good thing about the gold silver ratio is rather than having to look at the price of gold and the price of silver and do some kind of calculation and keep your eyes on both of them, by looking at the gold silver ratio, you're by definition looking at both prices at the same time, but with one number to focus on.
Yeah, I like that.
We very rarely need to look at the prices anymore, do we? So,
James, you want to just go through like some ways that you might not want to do this possibly?
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you've literally got physical gold and silver in your hands, or you've got gold in your hands and you'd want to switch it to silver, obviously, if it's in your hands, you'd have to sell it. You'd have to change it into currency. And then you'd have to take that currency and go and buy your silver. We're not saying you couldn't do this. You might be able to do this, but it's there's very little chance of being able to do this because it's just not efficient.
It's not efficient.
And it's very costly to do it with physical metals in your hand.
That is the big problem with
people.
Thinking about buying metals. It's like, well, I've got to store it. How do I spend it? What if I want to get rid of it quickly? All that kind of stuff is what is big issue with this stuff.
Well, I think we've solved most of the. It's taken us a while. I think we've solved most of the issues anyway. But it all depends on where you want to be, your objective. I mean, Adam always talks about this. Talks about starting with the end in mind. And when people do contact us, Adam's really good at quizzing them and finding out where they want to be, asking the right questions, and then tailoring what we do for them. But everyone's different, aren't they? That is one way that we're not saying you couldn't do it. You could potentially do it, but
it's clunky.
It's clunky, very clunky. Yeah, it just wouldn't be efficient enough. Yeah. But we've got a system now Whereas we can cut that out, cut the currency out. We can literally switch gold to silver and back again, and it's very efficient and it's very cheap to do. And all it's the costs for doing it are very little, so you can make some decent profits using our system now. That's why we're so excited, because the guys that we work with, the bullion dealer that we work with, has been doing this for themselves for many years, but they've now brought it to the customers, so the customers can do this.
That's amazing. I mean, this
was Adam's idea, really. You know,
this reminds me of arbitrage.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah, which is a fantastic way of making money. Yeah.
Oh, it's yeah. Every time we go through this, we get excited. So
I'm getting excited. I want to get to the end. I'm very impatient.
Yeah, brilliant.
Go on.
Let's push on. Let's push on.
Yeah.
So there's we always say, look into this and look at, if you're holding physical metal in your hand, please do a bit of an analysis of what it's going to cost you, because if it's going to cost you 40% to go from gold to silver and back to gold, those metals have got to work flipping hard for you to make money. So please look into it, especially if you're holding silver and there's VAT and tax to pay for holding it. It just makes the whole thing more difficult. So please look at that. So we've looked at using the gold silver ratio to work out what to buy, and that's, we think, is really useful. It's what we still use today for ourselves. We're going to use the gold silver ratio now to look at when to switch and how to switch and what it all looks like. So let's use this same graph, but get rid of all the lines and all that kind of stuff. And we've got this nice clean graph. Let's look at a ratio of 80 and a ratio of 60 and go through an example where at a ratio of 80, you would switch your gold into silver. And then when the ratio gets to 60, you move your silver back into gold. Again, you might be thinking, well, what difference does it make? Let's show you. So let's start with, imagine we start with 100 grams of gold, nice and shiny. The ratio gets to 80, and we switch our gold to silver, giving us 8,000 grams of silver, or 8 kilos of silver, which look like that. Now, the ratio goes down to 60, and some people might be way ahead of us here. If the ratio is still at 80 and you switch your 8,000 grams into gold, you'd be back at 100 grams. So no difference. Yeah, it's like times by 10, divide by 10. You get the same number. But the ratio's now changed. It's 60, not 80. And when the ratio's gone down to 60, you then switch your silver back into gold, and it gives you 125 grams of gold, not the 100 that you started with.
Free gold.
So you've got free gold. That's it, just like that.
Well, that's 25%.
So 25 grams more gold.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is more free metal. This is not taking into account the price of the metal going up, which can also happen. So you're kind of double winning. This is physically more metal than you started with.
Yeah.
And roughly today, 25 grams has about £1,000 worth of value. And it's that easy. There'll be a lot of analytical people out there, myself included, when I first saw this, overthinking it. But it is that easy. You are. Yeah. That's so.
How do you do it though? What's the mechanism?
Yeah, we'll get into it. I love it, Mark.
Yeah, we'll show you.
So the next question that people always ask is, well, which ratios do I pick? What do I pick to switch at? Because you could pick a whole range of ratios. And we're going to just give you 2 examples of ratio ranges we think you shouldn't pick, because sometimes working out what you don't want to do, you're closer to working out what you do want to do. So let's say, for example, you picked a ratio of 20 and 120, and you said, I'm only ever going to switch at those 2 ratios. Well, good luck. Those ratios might go once in your lifetime, or even never. Yeah. You'd make a huge profit, but it's very, very unlikely.
Very rare.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery. It's a big payout, but it's very unlikely. So with this one, we say huge profit, but unlikely. You might then say, well, what about 82 and 80? Well, now you've gone to the other extreme, and you're saying, well, yes, this is going to happen more often, but the profit is going to be tiny and not really worth your time in looking into it. If you're making 0.25% and it's taking you a year to do it, so what? There's better ways of doing that. So we take some kind of middle ground of that, where The frequency is, you know, a medium kind of frequency. You don't have to sit in there up all night with your coffee and your Red Bull watching a screen. Not about that. But that when the ratio does move and you do a switch, that it's worth it for you, that you're actually getting an increase that's significant. And what you're wanting to do is just keep capturing many of these smaller moves. Now, this would be an absolute ideal scenario, that it hits your ratio at the top, the green X, and then it comes down and hits the ratio on the red X, and then it just keeps happening. In reality, this doesn't happen like this. It can do whatever it wants, and it swings up and swings down. But every time it passes these points, you're just collecting. You're collecting free metal. So as an example, you could pick a ratio of 78 and another ratio of 70. And that would be a reasonable 2 points to switch at, where it's a mixture of frequency and profitability. Now, there's two mechanisms that we use to actually do this. And James is going to chat about the first one.
Yeah, the first one being the Switch Plus, we call it, and it's the manual way of doing it. So again, I know we've said this a few times now, but it's so very simple. Try not to make it to be too harder than what it is. It literally is. You buy your metals. Right? It doesn't matter which metal you start with. You buy your metals. You set your two ratios that you want to switch between. All right, and then you watch your market. You just check it every day. It takes 30 seconds to check what the gold silver ratio is. You can check the gold silver ratio. If it's hit where you want it to hit, then you can make your switches.
You know what I'm going to say now, don't you?
Oh, go on.
Yeah, I hope you've automated this.
Jump in the gun here, Mark.
Let's see.
I'm well ahead. I'm ready. Where do I buy? Where do I play?
Yeah. That's the manual version. It literally is where you have to check. You do have to check now and again to see what the ratios are, but you can still do it.
Yeah.
There's one point. I mean, we are going to have a system in place, hopefully soon. We don't know when. Whereas you can set your ratios, and the system can actually tell you when the ratios hit the target. You know, when it's hit your target, what you put in there. You know.
Yeah, like an alert. Okay, you're way ahead of us, Mark. The next one is called Switch Pilot, and this is the autopilot for your metals. So without having to watch the market, the system will do it for you. And this is why the last question on the slides at the very beginning, where we said, would you like to do all of this, maximize your profit, get free metals while you're sleeping? This is the answer. This is the solution.
Yes, please.
So with this, again, you're buying metals, you're using the gold-silver ratio to work out what to buy. Fine. You're then picking your ratios, but instead of just writing them down and watching the market as to when they occur, you're plugging them into the system, and you actually set your range, and you say, this is when I want to switch silver to gold. It's gold, silver. This is when I want to switch silver to gold, and you just turn it on. Now, there's two options. One is that it will complete one full cycle and then stop, like your washing machine, or you can click always on, and it will continually switch when those ratios occur. It'll even calculate for you. You can mess around and put different ratios in and work out what profit you would make after one full cycle. And then you simply make free metals while you're sleeping. I know that sounds too good to be true, and it's a very big claim, and we don't like to give big claims that aren't substantiated, but we're doing this for ourselves. We've got quite a big community of people that are also doing this now as well, and it works. It really does work.
Yeah, well, it's based on sound logic.
Yeah,
I think
yes, exactly. I'm glad you think so.
There's two questions I know that people will be watching this will be saying. What if I have not got much money? Secondly, where is all this stored? Because, you know, how do they access it? How do they liquidate it? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So for anyone that might say, I don't really have very much money. We have many phone calls with people, and they all start with, I don't really have much money. And that can be from £50 to $500,000. Everyone says the same. It's all relative. Yeah. Everyone has access to Switch Plus and can do manual switching, whether you buy £50 worth, €50 worth, £100 worth, whatever, you can manually switch. to access Switch Pilot, you do need to have a little bit more, but it's not unreachable for a lot of people. But you've got both options. The point is, switching metals is going to turbocharge just holding metals. You know, think of it like crypto terms. You have a cold wallet and a hot wallet. Your metals that just sit there and do nothing is your cold wallet. Your hot wallet is your metals that you're switching and doing all this stuff. So we can chat to people. We can show them how we do all of this, where the metals are stored, that they can access to them at any time. They can sell them at any point, have cash in their account within 2 days. All of that's easy. But this is how they kind of put the cherry on the top and the icing and the sprinkles and everything else. Just last thing we want to show you is the difference between just holding the metals and holding them and switching them. So let's just show you that bit.
Yeah.
So again, as James said before, if you had
I think what you're going to show now is basically compound interest. It's going to be very
it's a big part of it. Yeah,
be very similar to
essentially.
Compound interest.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a weird doubling effect as well, because not only have you got the metals going up in value over time, but as that's happening, you're accumulating more metals that then go up over time. You've got like a compound of a compound almost.
You know, look,
so look,
I just want to say to the viewers, your money's not safe in a bank, right? Crypto,
definitely not.
Crypto is very interesting and has potential. And I've talked about crypto a lot, and I have crypto, and I've worked in crypto for years. But you know, there's a lot of rumors that Bitcoin's owned by George Soros, and that's going to bring that crash down. And I think that's already happening. And who knows? You know, it's a very, very high risk thing. Gold and silver is what it's all about. This is really interesting, guys. Sorry to interrupt this. So,
thank you. Yeah,
I know.
If you haven't got, even if you haven't got a lot of money, pay attention to this, because I know what is going to come up on this graph now. I'm excited.
Yeah, you're way ahead of us.
And by the way, again, I want to say to the viewers, I'm not excited because I'm like materialistic. I'm thinking of my kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
You know, and I'm also optimistic about the future, and I also know that these metals are massively undervalued, especially silver. And if the future's going the way I think it's going to go, you know, some people like Phil Godlewski are talking about silver being $5,000 to $10,000 an ounce. Right? That's insane, right? But that is. You know, that's why I think this is important to know. Anyway, I'll stop waffling. Go on.
No, your input's really valuable, Mark. So we love it.
Yes. No, it really is. We're still, you know, we always say we're always learning. Every day's a school day, and we don't think we've, you know, we don't think we know it all. Definitely not. No.
I've not met anybody.
Look, as we said before, £10,000 in the year 2000 would have bought you if you bought metal in the year 2000, bought gold, it would be worth 78,000 today. Fine. If you had £10,000 in the year 2000 and you bought silver, it would be worth around 51,000 today. What about if you had that same £10,000 in the year 2000, and let's say you bought gold? It doesn't really matter what you start with, but let's say you bought gold and you switched at a ratio of 78 and 70. 78, you switch gold to silver. 70, you switch silver to gold. And that's all you did. How much would you have today? Here we go.
Ooh, I'm going to have a guess.
You would actually have...
Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
You should have left him hanging.
£190,000 worth of metal.
That's not bad, is it? From 10 grand.
Which is huge. Well,
and that's not putting your hand in your pocket, Mark. That's the main thing. You know.
Yes.
I mean,
that's what we always say is this is. Go ahead.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay. I was going to say, no, you say your bit first, Adam. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say the really important point is £10,000. You've not, as James said, you've not put your hand in your pocket. One is buy and hold, and one is buy and switch. And if you can automate the system, it's buy, set two numbers, turn it on, and walk away. So this has been happening while you've been getting on with the rest of your life.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I'd say the question I've got is, let's say, I mean, in the US, for example, lots of people have their what do you call it? Their pension fund. I can't remember what it's called.
Yes.
You know, what's it called? Do you know what it's
IRA,
called?
401k.
Yeah.
401k, right? So most people in America's 401ks are based upon the stock market, and the stock market is in big trouble.
Yep.
Right now, Evergrande is about to collapse. Right, which is good. I think it's going to bring the stock market tumbling down beyond anything we've ever seen before. So this is a massive concern for not only that, but most people's pensions in the UK or in other countries are based upon guys that sit in a room buying stocks and shares. It's not just the States, is it? But this gold and silver has never. I mean, the price fluctuates, but it's never, ever, historically, ever gone anywhere, has it?
No.
So yeah. So what I'm asking is, how does have you done a comparison with a 10,000 quid in, say, a high interest savings account in a bank over 21 years? How does that look after 21 years? It's probably only about 30 grand, isn't it?
Yeah, not very exciting. Not very exciting.
We have actually done these comparisons before, Adam, haven't we? And it's just it's not exciting at all, is it?
Yeah, and the other thing is you know the metal, you own it. You legally own it from day one. And as James said at the beginning, control and ownership is the number one for us. But this performance is secondary. So the fact of having paper money in a bank, you don't own it, you don't control it. And you're hit with massive inflation as well. Whereas metals you own, you control, and they'll far outperform paper money. So this it's a no-brainer when you see the numbers. It really is.
Even if you weren't to switch, it is. But I think you'd be a little bit mad not to switch, because we have made it very, very simple for people to switch.
Well, basically, anybody with a savings account needs to put a percentage of it into something like this.
Yeah,
at least a good percentage of it.
Yeah, well, we always, as we said earlier, we always quiz them anyway and make sure it's right for them. Because some people in certain situations, we might say, obviously, without telling them what to do, because we don't do that, we might say it might not be a good idea for you to do this right now, because you might have all this debt or whatever. Or
there's implications to the decision.
And it's a long-term thing, isn't it? Precious metals. It's not a buy today and sell tomorrow, because you'll lose out. It's buy and hold. It's buy and hold, and we always say at least 4 or 5 years, really. If you're looking to buy metals to then sell it in 3 months' time to buy a house, then don't do it. It just depends on people's situation.
So there's a link near the video where people can get in touch with you, right?
Yes, get in touch with us. It's interesting that you talked about as well pensions, especially for people in the US. There's an option where people can actually put their 401ks, IRAs into precious metals, or part of it into metals, and it's a really easy process as well. So I think the best thing is, look, just get in contact with us, and we'll help people and hold their hands with the process.
Depending on where people are in the world, Mark, it always dictates how we can help them. We can help people in different ways, depending on where they are. But
well, if anybody does, and you do well out of it, well, the first thing you got to do is upgrade Adam's internet connection.
No, because he lives out in the middle of nowhere. That's why. Don't you, Adam?
Next to a great big gold vault.
Challenge.
Is there how are you guys feeling about the? I've talked about stock market crashing and gold and silver being undervalued. Do you? I mean, you're working in. I'm just an observer, but you're working in this day to day. What are your feelings about where things are going?
Exactly the same, mate. Exactly the same. It's not heading the right. Well, I'm saying it's not heading the right way. It's heading the right way for us, because how do I explain it? I think it's good right now, because a lot more people than ever before are realizing it. I think we're getting a lot of people contacting us now, and they're actually aware of it, and and they know they have to do something for themselves. And that's what it's about for us. There's too many people in the past have been reliant on governments, and people are waking up left, right, and centre now. And from our view, from our point of view, and they're realising that it's all going the wrong way, and they're actually taking back control. And it's nice being able to help people to do that. But we personally think, I'm sure Adam will say the same, but we think gold and silver has been suppressed for a very long time.
Yeah, I do too.
Very long time. It's like I feel it's like a coiled spring. It's just going to go like that at some point.
Yeah, I think it is as well.
But again,
I think as well,
we don't tell people it is going to do that. We just tell them what our thoughts are, you know. But whether it goes mad or not, whether it shoots up in value or not, I'd still rather have my hard-earned savings in metals than in currency. In metals outside of the banking system than in currency.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people need to understand that banknotes are IOUs. That's what they are.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
When I was teaching the kids 10 years ago about money, I just kept it really simple. I said, look, now these guys, right, and they made money with gold and silver, and then they want to store it somewhere. So they went to this other guy who had a safe, right? He put it in the safe, and it was nice and safe.
Yeah.
Bish bosh. And then one day, these guys who owned the safe went, do you know what? Nobody ever comes in for people came in to borrow some money the other day. Why don't we just give them a piece of paper instead that represents the gold in the safe? Great idea. And then people started trading them outside. And then people come in and say, can I have more of those notes, please? And they go, well, yeah, let's just write them out based on right. And then they just
exactly.
all these bits of paper out based on nothing. That's the fractional reserve banking system. That's how they got you by you know. So I've got a question for you. So having gold and silver, I've been talking about it on the channel since I started. I think it's extremely important that people get educated about it, make their own decisions. None of this is financial advice. These guys are just really straight up guys who've got this interesting thing going that I'm very interested in. So I'm just sharing it with everybody else. What's the protection over, let's say I bought some gold in England, but I'm in Ireland. What's my legal protection over that being mine despite a crash? How secure is the company that is looking after the gold? You know, where's my safety net there? In terms, you know, what I want you to do is do a comparison between that and say a bank at the moment, because you know the central bank. I think the banking system's screwed. But what are your what's your answer to that?
It's very important, and this is probably the most important part, this ownership and control aspect. The way that we do it is the metals we buy are legally owned by us. It's a transfer of legal ownership. Even though they're stored in a different location, it doesn't matter. And they're not sat on the balance sheet of the company that we buy from. So look, the company could disappear. Yes, it would be inconvenient, but they can't touch our metals because they're ours, not theirs. The metals are also stored in third-party vaulted storage. So it's not a gold company with their own vault, because that blurs the lines and is a conflict of interest. It's third-party vault operators that are specialists in what they do. You know, it's not someone's garage on an industrial estate or something like that. They're all insured, audited every day, and then independently audited. And the independent audit keeps everyone in check to make sure that everything's as it should be. And it's those pillars that on their own are interesting and give you some protection. But when you stack them all up together, it really protects you and protects everyone from doing, you know, making sure everything's done right.
Yeah, because you know, I've been in business 30 years, and one of the hardest things that, especially if people are selling stuff remotely from warehouses and stuff, is things getting nicked by the people that work there. I mean, it'd be a bit hard to nick a bar of gold. It would slip down your trousers and break your toe. But
we've actually been in a vault, Mark. We actually went to a vault a couple of years ago in Germany. One of the vaults that we use actually, and the security was like, I mean, I think the first part of the security was you wouldn't even think it was a vault, would you? You wouldn't even know it was there.
No.
That's
I mean, one of the jokes that Well, we were kind of serious about it, but it was an ongoing joke, and we just said, "Great!" We were all excited, like kids on a school trip, and we were like, "Great, where's the vault?" And they said, "Exactly," and we said, "Okay, but where's the vault?" And they kind of said, "Yeah, that's the whole point," and we were kind of shot down a little bit, going, "Okay, fair enough."
It was a great experience, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add to this?
I just think
all we would say is get in touch, But do you know? But one of the main things, Mark, is what you've hit, and you told us earlier, as in people rule themselves out because they think I haven't got much. Please don't rule yourselves out, because we're more passionate about helping people that haven't got much than helping people with money. Don't get us wrong; we'll help everyone, but I'd much rather help somebody who hasn't got that much to do this. Set up a savings plan.
Same here.
Yeah.
I launched a course recently, and the majority of people are on free scholarships because I just want people to pull themselves out of the hole that they've been put into by the bloody system, just to empower people. So, God, we're singing from the same hymn sheet. So, everybody, I put a link near this video. Click if you want to get in touch with these guys. That you can tell they're totally genuine, brilliant guys, and I think they've got something very, very interesting here. I'm going to be looking at it. I'm going to hang up now and speak with these guys privately. So thanks for joining us today, James and Adam. Great pleasure. And you guys watching, thanks. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.